G'day folks, well in today's video I'm going to show how you can solve this Fission Skewb. And this is a Limcube product. See the Lim logo there. I did an unboxing on this many months ago and just have been occupied with other things until now, and so decided it was time to solve it. So I've given it a twist and I've scrambled it, and this is pretty much as you can get. It looks far more scrambled than it should, but I'm going to take you through the steps. It's not a tricky puzzle, but there is one sort of tricky bit that you can encounter right near the end. So I'm going to ensure that I get to that. So I'm going to solve it by solving the centers and then building up the edges around it. So in terms of the piece types, I'm calling these large pieces centers. That's pretty novel of me, isn't it? And then you've got these triangles and you've got these two color pieces here. So I'm just calling these triangles and I'm calling these half edges. And the reason for that is if you look at this piece here, I'm just calling that a big edge or something. So I've got two triangles and two half edges there. So here we go. The first thing is to obviously get it back into cube shape. And I've deliberately kind of offset it here and then just tried to make as much out of position as I can. So what I'm looking for initially is, do I have three centers that are not offset? And you can sort of see flat, 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 hopefully. Those are the three that are good. And so the other three are the ones that I need to turn to, they've been sort of turned a half turn or something just to match up with these three. Now, I may not instantly be able to. So because it's the orange, green, and blue that are good, it's the white, yellow, red that are not. So I will just sort of try and grip this if I can and give it a twist. And you can see that everything happens to be lined up. Like if I'd had it like that, I would not have been able to turn this at all. So that might be what you need to do, depending on how much you've scrambled it. It's just to make sure there's a clear line through there and turn that until you can sort of now see, oh, that's a much clearer cube shape. All the centers are where they are. So once that's happened, we just want to sit down anything we can really easily. And yep, there'll normally be that sort of amount of stuff. It's quite tricky to get this really badly scrambled. Once we've done that and we're only left with these funny looking pieces here, all we want to do is put two on the same line facing in the same direction. So for instance, those two, I just want to check that everything else is lined up so that this will turn. I might as well do that as well. And once you've got them, turn it up so that this left half meets this right half, spin it round and return. And that deals with that really simply. I've got two more over here. Turn it up, spin it round, return. These ones then can just sit down like that. And it's normally as simple as that to get it back to cube shape and completely flattened and ready to start properly solving. As I said, the first thing that I'm going to do now that it's in cube shape is just solve the centers. And what that means is getting them into the correct color scheme. So we know that this is a standard color scheme, which means white on the top, yellow on the bottom, and then red, blue, orange, green around like that. That's how I remember it. So what I would initially do is just find the yellow and turn it to the bottom and see what I've got. I may have a swap, maybe in the 3 cycle, don't know. So if that's the red, blue's got to go here, orange here, green here. So at the moment, I've got a swap. Now, no amount of turns like this, for example, is going to change the fact that I have a swap. It's just going to be a different sort of swap or a different configuration. So what I need to do instead is, at the moment, I started, you'll remember, with a sort of basing a red here and saying, where's everything else in relation to that? So what I'll do is say, no, that's not where the red should be. I'm going to move it to here. So I'm simply going to turn that red to there, and then the white stays in position. The yellow's knocked out, and so I'll come somewhere else and turn the yellow back to the bottom. So I've moved the red from this position to this position, and those three are good. Now, either I'm going to find that I'm going to have the other three solved, or they'll be in some sort of 3 cycle. So let's have a look. If this is red, this is supposed to be blue, this is supposed to be orange, this is supposed to be green. And if you look at what's happened there, the blue needs to come to here, the orange needs to go there, the green here. So that's a very clear 3 cycle. So if I just say, well, orange has got to go there, that's my first move, and the blue is my third piece. As a setup, I'll bring it down, and I'll just cycle these 3 pieces with orange going to green first. And that's done the cycle, and then I did have a setup, and I can never remember what it is, so I just look at the yellow and say, oh, well, the yellow is supposed to be on the bottom. So I'll turn that to the bottom. Now, white, yellow, and now we've got red, blue, orange, green. All the centers are exactly where they should be. The centers are done. It's now time to start making the edges, the complete big edges. And the easiest way to do that is to build pairs of edges and put them and sort of build them in place almost. So I'm going to be really sort of logical and normal for me and start with the white edges. I'm just going to pick a white edge. I'll see if there's any that are already done. You can see here there's a white red with a red. That is exactly what I'm talking about with a pair. So that's made up of a half edge and a triangle. Good. That's a white red pair. I'm going to go and put that into the white red position. Now, depending on where it is, it's very simple to move pairs across sort of 2 edges. It's actually also simple to move it across 1. It's just slightly different. If I was to move it down to here, just to show you the general technique, I'd simply be doing that, rotating and turning back. And I've moved it from there to there, no problem. What if I want to move it up from here to here? Well, again, no problem. I just want to turn, let's say, see, now I've got a choice because the white's landed there as well. I go with what I had, which was the white, red, red. And so I'm going to put that onto this edge. So I just rotate this edge slightly so that I've now got a clear line there. I'll turn that pair up, spin it round, and undo. Really, really simple. It's the same sort of 3 moves that I just did. And now that is in position. You say, well, is it? Yeah, it is. So the white, red, red I've got. Now I'm going to go for the red, white, white. So I would locate the red, white, which is here. I want to attach a white triangle to it. So ideally, I'm looking for one that's 2 faces away because it doesn't require me to do this at the beginning. Now, I've found a white triangle and I'll look at it and say, hey, that's really cool. That just goes straight through there. Now, I don't simply want to do that because I will move the centers out of position and my centers need to remain in position. So what I'm going to do instead, and you might think, well, that's good. Couldn't I just do that, spin it round, and then put it back? Well, you'll notice if I was to do that, it doesn't actually attach them. So what do we need to do instead? We need to note that that white will correctly come next to this one here. We then need to rotate this edge so that the white triangle is going to push the white red half edge out of the way. Notice that now that I've spun it, the white is on this side. So I'm going to bring it across. I'm now going to spin this edge to put the white triangle there and undo. And what that does is keep all the centers exactly where they should be, and it attaches these 2 pieces to make that pair. So now that we've got that, we need to put this over to here. Well, I can't go straight across like that. I can go to here, or I can go to here and then here. It doesn't really matter. So I'll just go across to here first. And now I want to put it up to this position. So this is the pair here that I need to keep. So I'm going to rotate this one to there so that once again, I'm going to push out the bit that I want to keep. I'm going to push out the half edge that I want to keep, or the pair that I want to keep, and replace it with the other pair, just like that. Now I spin this around, return the pair that I pushed out, and you can see that white-red edge is in, and I can just put this back. That is what we're doing. So it's generally pretty straightforward like that. So I would go around, and I'm going to do the whole solve here for you. Go around and do the white blue next, unless I can see another white pair that's already done. Doesn't look like I can. So here's a white blue. Do I have a white or a blue sort of two across? Yes, there's a white. And again, I'll note that that white comes up like that. So tells me I've got to rotate this around, push that out the way, spin the edge, and return. That's made a pair. Let's put that pair in place. Where is it? Over here. And so once again, I would probably just move this white blue one edge over. Which one did I make? This often happens, is that I'll manage to form sort of the other bit of it as well. Okay, let's just say that I made the white. I think that's what I did make. Now I can move that across, spin it round, and return. And why am I returning? Because I always want my centers to remain where they were. So I've got half of the edge done. I've got one pair. I now need white, blue, blue. So I'm looking for the white, blue edge, which is here. I need to match a blue to it. No blues there. No blues there. Can I put a blue into either of them? I can, because I've got a blue here. So I'm just going to move this blue up to this edge like that, because I don't need that yet. I don't care that I'm breaking the yellow blue. All right, so now that blue is ready to come here. I know that it's going to go next to this one. So I'll spin it round to push that out so that it will be formed when I put it back. There's the white blue. This is now in position, and I can now move this and push that one out. Lovely. Next one, white orange or white green, depending on what I've got. I don't think I have either, so let's do the white orange. See if we can attach an orange or a white. Now there's an orange there, but you'll notice when it comes down, it's not on the correct side. You might think, well, what if I spin this around? Well, it's still going to come down to here and actually push that out. So that's no good at the moment. So I'm really looking for a white. Ideally, I'd like the white to be here or to be here, two faces away or two edges away. And you can see that I do have a white piece here. So again, I might as well move this onto the adjacent edge or the adjacent face, however you want to look at it. That white is now going to correctly go next to it. So spin it round, bring it in, spin it round, take it out. There we go. White orange is over here. This is now on a good position. What am I doing? You know what? I didn't need to spin that because it is two faces across. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit interesting because it is two faces across from here. However, the line that it's going is here. So I've got an option. I could snake around one face at a time or one edge at a time, or I could move it to here. Now, what happens when I move it to here? This is the other option to go to this position, but it's two edges across from here. So probably the only real sensible option I've got is just to move it one at a time to here first and then to this one. Okay, so that's half of it in. I now need the white orange with an orange triangle. There's the white orange. I need to match an orange triangle. There is one here. So I can spin that around and of course spin this around. Now I could of course just have left that there and now push this out. And that's the other pair. That is now in the correct position to be pushing the other pair out, which is, so I'll spin that there to do so. Spin it round. This is pretty much exactly like you would be doing with sort of centers on a a big cube where you've made a row and you want to keep the row that you've already put in there. Well, you push it out, spin it round and bring it back. Okay, white green is my last white one. And neither of them are made. So let's see what we've got. There's a white. Okay, that white can push that white green out. Sometimes this very slightly locks up, very occasionally. It's just because I think what happens is sort of at the back, you can't help but sort of spin these a little bit. They're not loose, they're just really smooth. And then it's sort of, if you do that, it gets in the way a little bit of the turning. All right, let's put this one in. And I've made the green, white, white, so I now need to make the white green with a green triangle. Okay, here's the white green. There is a green triangle here, so I'm firstly just going to spin the white green over to here because I kind of want it to be on that one anyway. Now let's see if that is in the correct position. It's not in the correct position for that one. Let's see what else I've got. No, not really. So I'm going to have to go and put a green, perhaps this green one here, over to this edge initially. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, I think I will because I'll be able to keep this one where I want it. So what I'll do is move that up to push out the bit that I want to keep, spin it so that this green triangle will return with me, and then that's all okay. And I've now got the green triangle ready to attach to the white green edge. And is that near? Yeah, it's exactly where it needs to be. Okay, so you can see this is just like the white cross. We've done the first 4 edges. You can see we're not really going to have to think about corners as such because we're not treating it as a Skewb solve with corners. So again, what I would do is just work my way around and do 3 of these middle layer edges. There's nothing really that stands out here that's been done already. So anything I want, let's try the blue-red. In fact, let's not, you know why? Because I'm going to leave the yellow, I'm going to deliberately leave the yellow, blue, red till the end because I like finishing with those 3 colors. So I'll leave the blue, red for now. I'll do the red, green. And in fact, there it is. I've already got one ready to go. That's in, and I now need a red, green with a green. Okay, there's a red, green with a green, which is even better. So it can become a little bit, you've got to think a little bit more as to using the space that you've got with this because we gradually do run out of space to work with. But we're good now. Okay, that's done. What about the green, orange? Just looking to see what's... I need an orange to come from there or a green to come from there. I have neither, so I'll move this green across to here and I'll put the... Well, I don't need to put the orange, but I can. So let's see. I've now got a green ready to match with this. Okay, that one's done and it's in place. And the other one I need is green orange with an orange. Green orange is there. Now that I can't use, and this is where it becomes slightly, not annoying, but just you've got to just think a little more. What I would do here is to say, hey, there's an orange over here. If I could just move this green orange to this spare row, or this spare edge, that's what I would do. So I will do that. And in fact, I think what I've done is magically matched it up with this anyway. Is that the one I wanted? Green, orange with an orange. Yes, it is. Which is pretty cool. But let's imagine that didn't happen. I would have this green, orange. Now, I would normally be saying, well, I need to get an orange from here. And so I would then just move that orange over, match it up as normal. So that's all good. We'll take that, and we've got to move sort of to the opposite side of the cube. So now that I've made that one, I will move it to one of these top edges like that. And now I can happily push out the one that I want to keep, spin it round and return. Okay, that one's done. The last of these middle layer ones, the orange blue, and I've got an orange blue with a blue done already. So let's put that straight in. And I now need a blue orange with an orange. Okay, there's the blue orange. Let's just spin it like that. Now, where's the orange coming from? Either this one, which is going to be interesting, or this one, which is going to be interesting. I don't like either of them. What will I do? I'm going to move this blue orange down to this middle layer edge, purely because I think I can work with it a little bit better over here. All right, now that it's here, I can see that I need an orange to come from this edge. So I do have an orange here. Let's go put that in. And position it correctly. Yep, that is positioned correctly. So we'll push that out, spin it round, bring it back. That's the other half of the blue orange. Now I'll just have to go one edge at a time here. I suppose I could go up to here, couldn't I? Might as well do that. And now I can, again, push out the one that I wanted to keep, spin it and return it. And that third middle layer edge is done. Now, as I said, I like to finish with the yellow, blue, red. I think it really helps getting the same colors in your head at the end when you're doing a lot of solves of this sort of thing. So what that means is, just like a normal cube, I'm going to try and solve these back two next. So the yellow, orange and the yellow, green. I do have a yellow, yellow, orange. So I'm going to place that into position first of all, which now means I need a yellow, orange with an orange. There's my yellow, orange. Good, and there's an orange, which I know will go correctly up to there. So I'll turn that around to push it out. Okay, that is made. Now I need to just position that one so that the other pair pushes out the one I want to keep. 180 and return. That's good. Yellow, orange is done. So yellow, green is next. And I do have a green, yellow, yellow. So I'll certainly take that, put that in straight away. Now, that being the case, I need yellow, green with a green. Right, now here's the yellow, green. Now, the problem here that I've got is I can't, well, I mean, I could grab a green from there, but it's going to break that one. I don't want to do that. So what I'll do is put the yellow, green down into this middle layer temporarily, just to have a little bit more ability to use the upper edges to get it done. Now, when I do that, you'll notice that now the line has changed and it's coming from here. That's really good. The only problem is that this is in the way. So what I want to do first is I want to get this green piece, which is the last green piece. I want to get that over to here. But I also want to not break the orange yellow that I just did. So you'll notice that I can certainly store, if I could get the orange yellow over to here, I'm not using that at all. I'm only going to be using this one and this one. In fact, I could potentially store one of the orange yellows here, the other pair there. We'll see how we go. So what I'll do first is take one of the orange yellows out to this here and bring it over to that far edge. So let's do that first. Doesn't matter which one. I just need that space to make this last green yellow. So there's an orange yellow. I'm going to move that over to this one, put it right out of the way. Okay, that's safely stored there. Now, I may not have to move the other one. We'll just see, because what I need to do is get the green over to here. And this was the orange, yellow, yellow. So the one that I want to keep together is yellow, orange, orange, this bit here. So let's see if it's possible. I think it is possible to keep that orange, yellow, yellow just sitting there. And you know what's even better? Let me just double check. I've got to remember which one it was. Was it with the orange? Yes. Okay. I'm going to put the green in there and move the pair, the orange-yellow pair, back to here. That's perfect. Okay, so that, spin, and back. All right, so these bits are both stored nice and safely, and I now have this green set up ready to attach to that. So I'll do that in exactly the same method that I would normally use. That is now attached, and I can go ahead and place that over to here. So just turn it around, push out the one that I want to keep, bring it back. Those yellow greens are in, and I now just need to reposition the orange yellows. Better do that properly if I want this to work. Okay, there's the first one in. The second one I'll just take the long way home. Here we go. And that is with the yellow triangle, so it's got to push out the one with the orange triangle. Lovely. So that's almost close to the hardest thing that I've had to do for getting those two edges in. Normally it's a little bit simpler than that, but if you do run out of room, that's what you'll need to do, is just store one of these ones on another edge. Well, now we come to the point where we've got the last three, and what I'm going to do first is just spin things around to see, or place the edges where they should be, because ideally what I'm trying to do is make pairs still. And you can see, if you look at this one, I've got one pair here, one pair here, one pair, or in fact, one pair, one pair. So there's 4 pairs, and there's a 5th. That's looking pretty good. And in this case, I would actually go ahead and try and place the common pair that I've got, which is, looks like it's either yellow, blue, blue. No, it's not yellow, blue, blue, because I've got 2 of them. So I could do blue, red, 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 blue, blue. Okay, so that's a possibility. So let's give that a go of getting that middle layer done. Yeah. So if I can make a particular layer, I will do so. I will then spin that around, and okay, look what we've got. It looks kind of like we've got a swap, but remember, I've got these edges here as well. So when I get to this scenario, I want to always place the edges where I think they should be. Where I think they should be, where they belong. So for example, I would initially look to see that this yellow red and this yellow red belong over here. Now, it's not the only thing you can do. You can still try and make pairs, because we've got some pairs going on here, both sides. It may be possible just to kind of think your way through it and go, all right, well, let's say that I keep that pair. What's going to happen if I use this one to go and attach up here? Does it look like it's doing anything? Well, it doesn't look like it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not either, because what we've got to think is this will spin around and come back to here. Now you'll notice that that's a red and that's a yellow. That's a red and that's a yellow. So that may actually be really good. I would look at that and try it. I would say, well, I'm going to push this one out, which I want to keep. This is the one which I'm hoping to match over here. Let's just give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? Spin it round, bring it back, and well, that does look pretty good. The only thing is it hasn't really given me another pair. So that's fine. I would then go back to my original thing of saying, all right, well, let's place some edges. So have I got any that are correctly in? I've got this yellow red that's in. I've got a yellow blue. I don't really have a swap of edges. All I need to do now is just 3 cycle to get the yellow blue over here. So in other words, yellow blue to here, red yellow to here, and blue yellow to here. That's the thought process. So I want to keep this one. So I'm going to push it out with this red yellow, just like normal. Okay, now that looks significantly better. It also looks wrong because what you appear to have is a swap of 2 triangles. I'm really glad this happened because this is exactly what I wanted to happen. Because if you can make pairs, that's what you do, and then you just place the pairs at the end. Easy. Now what I wouldn't mind doing here is just showing another few examples, maybe a couple of examples of the last 3 edges and what sort of situations you can get. Okay, well, let's have a look at this one. Initially, it just looks a bit of a mess. I would probably just start trying to make pairs. Like I said earlier, I've got a pair here, so blue, yellow. So that's yellow, blue, blue, and blue, yellow, yellow. I would take that and say, okay, let's go ahead and try and place both of them. Again, it may not remain placed, but it's not a bad idea to see what we can do. Initially, there's one of them in and the other one here. Okay, so that's one of them in. Now we'll see what we've got in terms of any pairs. A couple of pairs up here, and I got a couple of pairs here. So that's the sort of thing that I was talking about. Often you will do this and initially you'll look at it and say, oh, hang on. No, I look at it that way and it looks great. So this is yellow, red. Well, that just means I turn this, push that one out, spin it round, bring it back, and we are done. Okay, one other scenario here. And again, initially it looks a little bit of a mess. So I'd note here that the only pair that I seem to have is a red, yellow, yellow. I can't see anything else sitting there, so I would go and try and make the other red, yellow, or in fact it'll be a yellow, red, red. I'll do that if it's possible to do. Yellow, red is there. Now there is a red here, but I don't think it's certainly not going to come down and make a nice little thing like that. Getting a bit stuck there. So I would probably say, okay, that's not really going to happen because I don't have the space to play with anymore. I've only got these 3 edges. So, okay, that's no good. Next, I would look at placing the edges into their positions and seeing what that does. So, for example, I've got, this is blue-red. Let's get the other blue-red over down to the middle. And what we're hoping is that this will kind of create a few nice pairs. It hasn't so far, but we'll see. And the yellow red's got to go over to here. So let's do this one first. There's one yellow red and the other one now needs to push this out. Okay. Yes and yes. All right. So all the edges are in position and we now see that pretty much all the triangles need to do some swapping of some kind. So what I would then do is say, well, let's see if we can at least get a couple of pairs going. And again, I'd try and do the red blues here. So if I turn that, what I notice is that the blue is here. It'll be pushed out if I turn this one down. So if I turn that one down, and then that blue is going to spin around to there, which is where I want it. So I'm going to say, all right, I'll give that a go. I've got red, blue, blue. And what you'll notice is that I've actually created 4 pairs there straight away. What I would then do, because I've got red, blue, blue, and I've got blue, red, red, I'd say, cool, now is the time to go and place that into position so I can at least say one of them is done. Now, what's happened is actually 2 of them are done now as well. a situation like this where you'll have what appears to be a swap of two triangles. However, let me assure you it's not. Because even though you could look at this and say, well, it is, there's a swap. Well, I could also say, what about if I swapped that yellow and that red? There's one swap. And then I'd have a yellow here, so that would be solved. And I'd have a red here and a yellow here. Well, I could do another swap to spin them around or switch them around, and that would then solve the puzzle. So that's actually two swaps. So it's not any kind of parity situation or anything like that. It just looks like it's a swap. Now, you can go and invent a 3-cycle for this, and that's fine. But what I've found is that when I started thinking about this, I was going, well, I've got a yellow-blue and a yellow-red edge. And I remembered back to the days of solving the AI cube. And in that, the phrase that came into my head was color match. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. The common color between yellow-blue and yellow-red is blue-red. Okay. This is one of the reasons that I like to just have these last three, get the colors in your head the same all the time. I'm going to use the blue-red to do some color matching here to help deal with this and get them into pairs. So here we go. I'll look at whatever, there'll be one that is wrong, either on the right or the left on the lower part of the edge. On this occasion, it's on the right-hand side. So I'm going to start with the right-hand side. And I'd like to get that yellow down to this middle layer. And I want to try and color match with this edge. So what's the color that's on this edge? It's yellow-red. And so that tells me that first I'm going to be using the red piece here, not the blue. So I'll turn this around because I've got to do that to keep things looking good. That red triangle is the one that's going to help me color match here. Now, you might think logically, all right, so now I turn this up. I'm going to do a bit of color matching. That's beautiful. That color match is there. Let's spin it around and bring it back. And, that doesn't really look so good. It appears that I've made things worse. Well, that's because in this case I have. So let me explain what's going on and what you need to do first before you do that replacement. So we definitely want to use the red to color match. So we turn that like that to get going. What we need to do is spin this top one around. And the main reason for that is when I did not spin it round, that yellow is the one that I want to come down to here. But if I don't spin it round, it's pushing it out. I do my spin and then it just brings it back. It hasn't actually come down to the middle layer. And so to deal with this, I need to spin it round first. There's the yellow, the problem yellow that I want to bring down here. Now, I'm going to bring this up, spin it round, return. Good. The problem yellow is down here. And what you'll notice is that, oh, good, I've got two pairs up here. So that red, which was down here, has been successfully used to color match and give me two pairs where I wanted them. Now, I've got the yellow sitting here. I've color matched with the red. Now I need to color match on the other side with the blue. So I'm going to turn it around this way so the blue is ready to come up. Now, once again, now that I've told you to spin over here, you'll probably think, the red's up there. I don't need to spin. Well, you actually do need to spin again. So it's pretty much a mirror of what we just did on this side. Let's see what happens if we don't spin. If we don't spin this top one and go to replace it. Again, it looks good, but we turn around, bring it back. And I definitely have not achieved what I wanted to achieve there. I haven't got some pairs at all. So what we'll find is that when I do color match with this blue, which gets put down there, I absolutely do need to spin. And I think if you look at it, you can see, well, if I do spin it, that blue, which is there, is going to come back to here. And it'll keep this one good. All right, let's do this. So now that we've spun that top layer, up we come, spin around, bring it back. As I said, that blue comes to there, which is great. So let's put this one back. And what you'll now notice is that everywhere I look, I've got pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is precisely what I was aiming for. And of course, when you get to these three, this is the sort of thing you're aiming for, whether you get what appears to be a swap of triangles or not. Because once you've got 6 pairs, it's two steps. So for example, I would then say, let's say that I want to get the middle layer done first. I've got the red blues here. Where's the other red blue? It's sitting over here. So I might turn this like so and just bring this down, push that one out to keep the red blue. And the middle layer is now done. And that just leaves these two to do. Well, this one's supposed to be yellow red. So once again, let's turn that so I can push this one out with this yellow red. Spin it round, bring it back. That's in, and that's in. So that is pretty much the hardest thing you're going to encounter using this solving method. And just to be really clear, I'm going to go through that again, but I'm going to set it up so that it's on the other side to start with. And this time we've got this problem yellow piece on the left-hand side, on the lower portion on the left-hand side. And the other piece is on the upper part of this right-hand edge. So you remember before we had a problem here and a problem here. This is just the mirror of that. So we do the exact mirror of the solve. And I want to show you how quick it is. It's exactly the same sequence that I was using. But here we go. I first color match with the blue because this is the yellow-blue edge. So I turn that around, ready to use the blue, spin the top, do the replacement, put this back, unspin the top. Then I do it on the other side. Spin the top, turn it around. I'm now color matching with the red. Down, unspin the top, unspin that. We've now got our pairs. And so what we can do now is get the blue-red done. Well, there's the blue-red up here. So let's turn that to there. Put that one into position. And the final one, the red-yellow, over to there. And we are all done. Now this leaves, it's another scenario of where we've got two triangles that appear to need to swap. Now the way I would do this is so that I don't have to invent something new. I would try and get these two set up into the same position as what I showed earlier with the swap when they were here and up the top here. So I'm thinking I'd like to move this blue one over to the top position. The thing that I didn't mention earlier was that it doesn't just swap these two triangles. It also swaps these two triangles. So I do need to make sure that these two are the same color. That's the only thing that matters. So they're red at the moment, which tells me I just want to keep this red one. I want to move the blue over to this edge and keep the red. Well, if that's the case, then in order to keep the red, I'm going to push that red out with the blue. Spin that around, bring it back. All right, this problem yellow is still here. That's the one that I had. And I know that the other thing I need is the piece up to here. And you'll notice I've kept the red. So these two will also swap. We're all good. Now that I've got that in position, I can carry out this color matching routine and then put things back. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, first thing, turn that. Spin the top, we'll color match with blue first. Up, spin, down. Put that back, turn that around, spin, color match on this side, undo, undo. Now you might remember from previously, because it's slightly different because some of the edges up here were dodgy. However, we still have this blue-red. And the blue-red is the one that's intact here. So to get that, we had to turn this around 2 little turns to there and create that middle edge. So now the blue-red, we'll undo that. The blue-red is in. And the last thing that we did was to move this over to here. Now, again, it's slightly tricky because of some of the edges being out. However, if you remember what we did, we turned that up to there and then moved the red yellow over and pushed it out. So let's do that. Okay, and then we'll bring that back. Now, what's interesting is if that was normal, if the pieces were normally in that position, we would now have it solved. But you remember they weren't. They were in this position. So we had to do a setup to get one of them over to here. Well, now we need to undo that setup. But you don't need to think about it because you just look. We've got pairs. So I can now say, oh, well, that's the red, yellow. I need to probably turn this like that so I can push that red, yellow out. Spin it around, bring it back, eventually spin it into position. And once again, all is well. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight as to how perhaps to approach this without having to learn other 3 cycles, just to use really simple moves pretty much all the way through. As always, thanks for watching.